Welcome to Old Classic Car, and in this compilation we are looking at original photographs of mystery cars, cars that need identifying. And to begin with, we have a pair of cars here, but what is the car in the foreground? The car behind looks suspiciously like one of the Ponton era of Mercedes-Benz saloons, but what is the car closest to the camera? And what's that on the floor alongside it? Is it part of a pram, perhaps? Who knows? Answers on the postcard, please. All the photographs are numbered, including this very sporty looking little number here. And I will include the numbers in the description. If you can help identify any of the cars here, please just have a quick look in the description to see if I've already got an ID for that car. And if not, please pop a note in the comments. That's always very useful. And I will update the description accordingly. Photo 3 here is a fairly upright four-door saloon, a pre-war saloon, but what car are we looking at here? Quite distinctive looking louvers on the side of the bonnet panel, so maybe that'll help identify this one. Quite an eye-catching two-tone paint scheme as well. Many of the cars, including this number 4, are pre-war cars, but not all of them are, so if you're more into your post-war classics as opposed to pre-war vintage and post-vintage cars, please don't click away just yet. Any ideas on this one? The wheels look a bit Armstrong Siddeley like to me, but yeah, if you know for sure, please let me know. Car number 5 is this fairly compact little two-seater with a gentleman sat behind the wheel. But what is the car? Headlamps are mounted on the scuttle, a bit like on the early Austin Chummies. 5 stud wheel fixings on this one though, so yep, any ideas on this one, folks? Please let me know. And here is another really weird one. It looks like it's based on a wartime military vehicle, perhaps an American, I don't know, Dodge or GMC. But what is the body there? Is it some sort of armoured car perhaps? Who knows? The chap in the foreground doesn't look like he's particularly military spec, but maybe it is. Okay, now side-on view of an unidentified Tourer, quite a big Tourer of what looks to be early 1930s, possibly out in Empire somewhere. Maybe we are in India or something similar. Yeah, any ideas on this car, folks? Like I say, I'll update the description as and when IDs are forthcoming. Car number 8, we've only got an under bonnet view. We can see Fiat and the top of the engine there, but what model of Fiat are we looking at here? It looks like it's probably brand new. Looks to be in fantastic condition. Well, apart from that tyre, the spare tyre just visible on the left there, that looks fairly worn. Okay, looks like a day trip out to the countryside for this family in their left-hand drive car. Quite a big steering wheel as well. Anyone recognise this one? We're already at car number 10. I think we are in Canada for this particular photo, and indeed several of the photos that are coming up. But do you recognise this car? Looks very 1920s, wooden spoke wheels. But what car are we looking at here? I'm not entirely sure. I did wonder about Willis Knight, but well, I'm sure many of you will know the answer. And again, we are in this. This came from the same collection of photographs in Canada. We got a two-door sedan of some description, and I'm sure many of you will know what this is. If so, please pop a note in the comments. I'll update the description, and hopefully eventually we'll get IDs for all the cars featured here. This came in the same set as well, another left-hand drive two-door saloon, again on wooden spoke wheels. Anyone know what this particular car is here? So many of these cars, especially some of the pre-war cars, all look very, very similar. And to my untrained eye, they're quite difficult to tell apart. Now we've got 3 photographs now of this incredible home-built car, HX364. That's a London registration. It goes back to the early 1930s. The car looks like it's a 1950s build, but is this a one-off? The front kind of looks like it may be one of the off-the-shelf special bodies, but as you get round the back, things go very, very different indeed. So I'm wondering if this is an adapted off-the-shelf body. Someone's got a body and then adapted it to their own particular needs. But what an incredible looking car this is. And well, yeah, what can you say about this really? Easy, clean wheels, but no real clues as to what the running gear is on this particular car. Maybe some of the instrumentation will ring a bell with somebody. But yes, I love these oddball specials, and this, well, they don't get much odder than this. Presumably built up in the 1950s somewhere. Car number 14, somewhat older now. We're going back probably to Edwardian or just post-Edwardian days. And we've got a gentleman there. Looks like the chauffeur stood alongside his cherished motor car. He would have been responsible for all the running and the upkeep of that car on behalf of the car's owner. And I told you there would be some later photographs, and here we are somewhere in America, I suspect. But what's that car? I'm sure many American viewers and Canadian viewers, etc. will know what this car is, so please pop a note in the comments and let me know. Put me out of my misery with this one. American cars can be very, very hard to identify. And we are back to oddball specials now, and car number 16. What a great, funny looking little sports car. Again, this would have been bought as a fiberglass body shell, and then someone's built it up into a final running car. But what is this one? What body is that? Is it Markham Peasy or something similar? This one came in the same batch, a similar looking car, but not quite the same. Intriguingly, it's got an L plate on the front as well, so that suggests that it was actually finished and on the road. But again, what is it? There were so many makers of oddball little fiberglass bodies that you could fit to your Ford Pop chassis and so on. Now, I think this is a military setting. Looks like some sort of training organisation, classroom setting, learning the mechanics of the motor car. But what car is that chassis and engine, running it, etc. from? What car is that? What car was it originally? Okay, more T-Vicar, side-on view of a four-seat, four-door tourer of the 1920s with wood spoke wheels. No exterior door handles, so it's obviously quite an early car, but sadly the location isn't known, but maybe someone recognises the car. And I'm hoping someone also recognises this car. I wonder if perhaps it's one of the larger Morrises, perhaps. Some very dapper chaps there, and a couple of ladies also in view in this particular photograph. Four-door saloon of the probably early to mid-1930s, but what car is it? This is a little bit older. We're going back to the 1920s now. 5-stud wheel fittings, disc wheels, two-seater, possibly with a dicky seat in the back. We can't quite see from here. But do you recognise what this car is? Answers on a postcard, please, or preferably in the comments. And we are back over to America now. Is this sort of early 1980s, I would guess? I'm sure many of you will be shouting at the screen now saying, "Ooh, that's an Oldsmobile or a Buick or a Chevy or something." So yeah, please let me know what make and model of car we're looking at there. Now, going way back to the early 1920s, or possibly even a little bit before that, we've got a really oddball looking car here with a coal scuttle bonnet and the radiator behind the engine, it would seem. I don't think it's a Renault. Maybe it could be a Renault, but Renault weren't the only ones to have bonnets of that shape. Now, early 1930s will be the date of this particular four-door saloon. This one kind of rings a bell, and it's just sort of, I can't quite remember what car this is. So yeah, if you recognise it, please pop a note and put me out of my misery on this one as well. Back to America, and I'm guessing this is a pretty regular sedan of the late 70s, or more likely early to mid 1980s. And if you know what make and model we're looking at here, please do the necessary. That would be really, really useful. And I will update the description as and when identifications come through. Now look at this magnificent saloon here. Late 20s, or possibly the very beginning of the 1930s. What a stunning, stunning car that is. The side-mounted spare wheel as well. That looks a proper car. And the two people there dressed up for a day out in their motor car. Now to the post-war era, somewhere in America or Canada, I suspect, and I'm sure many of you again will recognise what this particular car is in the mystery compilation that I've put together here. So yeah, let me know please. Nice old vintage job here, again on the wooden spoke wheels, but what car is it? Presumably American or possibly Canadian manufacture. But the headlights look very similar to those that I had in my 24 Dodge, but they could have been fitted to anything. Not just cars in this mystery vehicles compilation here, a magnificent motor coach with Rome as a destination on the front of it, and a little notice in the top of the windscreen for the Brighton Rally. what is this? We are back in America. I think this photo dates to 1980. So what is it? Some sort of two-door coupe, but what model of car is shown here? Okay, up to number 31 already, just over 50 in this particular compilation. There's a gentleman stood alongside a very shiny car with fairly subdued rear tail fins. What's the car on the left? It's some sort of Cadillac, a slightly older Caddy of the 50s, but what is the main car shown here? The young lady perched atop a car. Now this looks, I think this was in Germany somewhere, so is this an Opel perhaps, or something of that ilk? Quite neat with those full width wheel discs on it. Quite a sleek looking two-door car, but what car is this one? And same question for this. It looks like a two-door sedan or saloon. Is it American? It could well be. The bonnet side slats look a bit British, but I'm leaving this one open to you. I'm guessing this is probably another American car. I'd love to know where this was, what was going on here, what is the structure in the background, and what is the car in the foreground. Quite a big gathering, whatever it was. Sadly, no notes accompany this photograph, but if we can identify the car, well, that would be something. And we are back to America in a fairly sparsely occupied parking lot or car park, but what is the car shown here? We are now up to car number 36, and two very smartly dressed people with their magnificent four-door saloon. Pretty wild looking car. Look at the rear window, side window treatment on this one. What an incredible looking car, and I'm sure there's enough distinctive items here for someone to be able to identify it. This one could be a little bit trickier. There's a proud chap there stood in his best bib and tucker alongside the car. It looks like a late 40s or early 1950s car, but, well, yeah, more than that, I do not know. Quite a distinctive crease on the bottom of the door as well, so that may help identify it. And we are on a charabanc ride here. This on the French Riviera, I believe. Maybe someone possibly even recognises the location. But even if we can just get an ID on the vehicle itself, well, that would be a start. The guy in the white coat, presumably, is the charabanc's driver. Now this photograph dates to the 1950s. You can just see an F-Type Vauxhall Victor in the background, but what is the car, the main car shown here? Looks to be pretty small, judging by the scale of the guy who's driving it. It must be a tiny little car, but what car is that? And we are back to the 1950s. Now I think this photograph was actually taken here in the UK, but where the car behind them came from, I don't know. Is there enough there to be able to identify it? Perhaps the hubcap and the rear window treatment is a good guide as to what car we are looking at here. I'll leave this one to you. Now we're at a motor racing circuit here, and I think it may be Brands Hatch, but I'm sure you guys will know. But what car is that? Car number 31. We've got a couple of photographs in this particular compilation from the same venue, but this one, I'd love to know what car this is. And we're back to the early 1920s with this one. Whatever car that is on the left, it looks to be a real quality product. Looking at the headlamps and those huge side lamps mounted on top of the front wing there, it looks like a real quality job, this one. Now look at this one. We are in Luxembourg. Handily, there is some writing on the side of this motor coach telling us the location, or the likely location for this one. But is there enough here to be able to identify the vehicle itself, I wonder? Entry number 43. Like I say, as and when these get identified, I'll update the description. Now maybe you know what this is. Car number 44 in this particular collection. Looks like it's just had a spare wheel changeover. And that's what's going on here. Gentleman just putting the hubcap back on, and the young lad doing something at the back, tightening up the nuts on perhaps the punctured tyre on the back. And now this, I think we're over in Australia for this one, but what car, or indeed cars, are we looking at here? Looks like they could possibly be even based on road cars, judging by those wheels. But obviously sleek bodywork, fancy exhaust, and many tuning modifications no doubt applied. Entry number 46 now, we're getting towards the end. A great little old tourer, but what is that one? Looks to be a nautical setting, judging by the background. But what is that? Very tall windscreen as well, but very distinctive radiator too, so I'm hoping this one should be fairly easy to identify. We are back in this race car paddock, possibly Brands Hatch. It looks like a Lotus in the foreground, but which Lotus is it? What's that behind? It could be a Chevron possibly, that's what comes to mind, but I don't know for sure. We've got a whole gaggle of minis and the Hellman Imp in the background too, so a little bit of everything going on there. And some engine maintenance, a bit of under bonnet action here, but what car is that? I'm guessing something Eastern European, but there were some really oddball cars produced over there which didn't make it over to the West and are very unfamiliar to these Western eyes, so if you know what that is, please let me know. Two very smart gentlemen here in photograph number 49, or car number 49. Any ideas on this one? Is there enough here to identify it? We've got the old style carriage door handle, so I'm guessing this is possibly Edwardian or mid-teens, that kind of age, maybe 1920. This one is a little bit later, presumably 1950s. The location isn't known unfortunately, but maybe you can identify the car shown there. We're almost at the end now, you'll be pleased to know, and we are back to the vintage days. A two-door saloon here, a beaming family posed proudly with their lovely car. Looks like it's got a greyhound mascot on top of the radiator, so maybe that'll help identify this particular vehicle. I think we are back in Germany for this particular vehicle. Is that a Lloyd? It feels like it could be a Lloyd Alexander or something similar to that on the left. And what is that peeking out from under the archway over in the building in the background? Who knows? If you know your old automobiles, let me know. And the final entry in this Mystery Cars compilation is this very unusual looking Tourer. It looks like it's got a dicky seat in the back as well, judging by the step on the rear bumper and indeed over the rear mudguard. Yeah, an interesting collection to put together, this one. So thank you so much for watching. Like I say, if you recognise some of the cars here, make a note of the number, check the description to see if they've already been identified, and if they haven't, or if you want to make any corrections, please pop a note in the comments and I'll try and update the description as I go along to hopefully identify all the cars featured. So thank you so much for watching this one. I'll include a few links to other videos here on the Old Classic Car channel, and there'll be loads more videos along very soon. So bye for now.